drama in October. And now it's on to that all-too-familiar pinstripe foe who insists on being uncooperative right from the very first batter of the 78th World Series. Greg Nettles' larceny helps boost the Yankees to an early lead. But in the 8th inning, Steve Garvey represents the tying run. Nettles' almost mystical powers over the Dodgers are reminiscent of the 1978 series when last these two teams met. And his hot corner heroics have stymied the visitors' cold. Now, all that's left is a formality for Goose Gossage, protecting a 2-run Yankee lead in the ninth. New York breaks on top in the series, and the Bronx men prove even less hospitable in Game 2. Flamethrower Goose Gossage has returned to the hill to preserve Tommy John's shutout, and the Dodgers, it seems, can't stand the heat. The Yankees take a commanding 2-game lead in the series, but now the scene moves to the land where fairy tales can come true, and the do-it-the-hard-way Dodgers have them right where they want them. Ron Cey stands in with 2 on in the first against Dave Righetti in what's expected to be a pitcher's duel. Cey's 3-run homer gives Los Angeles its first lead of the series, and a record Dodger Stadium crowd buoys the hopes of getting back in the series. With the Yankees trailing just 5-4 in the 8th, a struggling, off-form Fernando Valenzuela is trying desperately to summon up another miracle. Bobby Mercer's attempted bunt turns into a rally-killing double play, and the home team hangs on to win behind their charmed rookie Fernando. The Dodger-Yankee rivalry is starting to live up to its advanced billing now, and Jay Johnstone steps into the 6th inning of a tumultuous 4th game with the Yankees' Ron Davis working on a 6-3 lead. The Dodgers pinch hitter extraordinaire lines a 2-run homer which changes the entire complexion of the game. A 5-run Dodger comeback leaves the Yankees feeling helpless and Dodger fans exultant. Even seemingly innocuous fly balls are turning into adventures for the Yankees now. Reggie Jackson gains a touch of humility from the autumn sun, and it's the Dodgers who look like the boys of October now. Game 5 is a comparatively quiet affair until the Dodgers erupt in the 7th inning. Back-to-back homers by Pedro Guerrero and Steve Yeager explode Ron Guidry's shutout, and these high-spirited Dodgers are simply not to be denied. 3 straight comeback victories for L.A., and somebody upstairs is not smiling at the Yankees. Just 1 game from elimination, Yankee skipper Bob Lemon sends up a pinch hitter in the 4th inning of a tie game. The controversial decision puts Tommy John's arm away for the winter and opens the floodgates for the Dodgers. Against a Yankee bullpen once thought invincible, the Dodgers pound out 8 runs, led by tri-MVPs Yeager, Cey, and Guerrero. Second-year man Steve Howe comes in to nail down the victory and LA's first World Series crown in 16 years. After losing the first 2 games of the series, the Dodgers prove up to the challenge, sweeping 4 straight from the Yanks, the ultimate triumph for the underdog. New York is a town of challengers, and it's easy to find willing souls even for a 26-mile race. But none of the 14,000 is nearly as able as Alberto Salazar, a 23-year-old Oregonian who makes good on his pre-race promise to run the fastest marathon ever. The race promoters are trying to make New York a marathon capital, and they get another boost from New Zealand's Alison Rowe, the top woman finisher. But the biggest story of all is that more than 13,000 runners finish this race.
I have an admission to make. I've tried competing in nearly every sport imaginable, but when it comes to the marathon, I hit the wall, as they speak of it, even before I get out of the house. So Alberto Salazar is my choice for October's top performer, with honorable mention to Alison Rowe.
This scrapbook is a way for us in the television industry to pay tribute to the world's finest athletes and their deeds. This year, we lost one of our champions. For 19 years with CBS and later with his own production firm, Jack Dolph epitomized the highest level of persistence, creativity, and excellence in the broadcasting field. It is not enough just to say we will miss the commissioner. We will always be in his debt.
To give us a look at the other top sportswomen of the year, I'd like to introduce the president of the Women's Sports Foundation, our Olympic gold medalist for swimming in 1964, Donna de Verona.
Thank you, George. It was a year in which women athletes reached new levels of personal achievement and continued their fight for further acceptance. And for the first time ever, 2 women were invited to join the International Olympic Congress. It was also a year which made us realize how far we've come. This year, the women's marathon was added to the 1984 Olympic calendar. And for us at the Women's Sports Foundation, it was a marathon effort as well when we gathered in New York City to pay tribute to 2 very special women. Over 600 people gathered that night to not only honor the professional and amateur athlete of the year, but also to recognize outstanding achievements. New Zealand's Alison Rowe, who'd already won the Boston Marathon, had traveled to New York for the New York City Marathon. As predicted, she captured first in world record time. Evelyn Ashford of Los Angeles, setting records at the 50, 60, and 100 yards, and winning the 100 and 200 meter dashes at World Cup 3 to become the meet's only double winner. Another performer combining grace, speed, and elegance was 15-year-old Elaine Zayach of Paramus, New Jersey, who triple jumped her way to a U.S. figure skating championship and a silver medal in the world competition. Swimming, as I learned a while back, is another sport which belongs almost exclusively to teenagers. Perhaps the most remarkable woman swimmer ever to dive into a pool is Tracy Calkins, a native of Tennessee who's now a freshman at the University of Florida. Calkins continues to break records while displaying her rare versatility, and in the early part of '81, she won 4 races in which she defeated the Moscow Olympics gold medalist. And because of this great performance, Tracy Calkins was the Women's Sports Foundation Amateur Athlete of the Year. Beth Daniel won the record $50,000 first prize in the World Championship of Women's Golf, while Kathy Wentworth, at age 41, became the first woman golfer to top $1 million in career earnings. In tennis, Martina Navratilova won more than $500,000 in '81, and several others weren't far behind. But the best player is not always a top money winner, and this year the #1 performer in women's tennis, and in fact in all of women's professional sports, was Chris Everett Lloyd. The 26-year-old Floridian has played with a new maturity and confidence since her marriage to John Lloyd and since coming back from her 1980 sabbatical. She won 6 straight tournaments early this year, and a resounding triumph at Wimbledon proved that she's back at the top of her game. She was our champion at the Women's Sports Foundation dinner, when she captured the Professional Athlete of the Year award. One more development, George. For the last decade, due to grassroots participation, Title IX, and the leadership of the AIAW in collegiate sports, women have enjoyed more benefits and growth than ever before. So much so that the male-oriented NCAA has decided to institute Division I, II, and III championships for women. Well, George, that just means in 1982, women will have many more choices to make.
The George Plimpton Scrapbook returns in a moment.
Anyone proclaimed parity in the pros, and there goes another #1 in the college ranks. But through all the gridiron backing and filling, one man just kept rolling along.
In Birmingham, the college football season is Bear season, and Alabama's 68-year-old head coach, Paul Bear Bryant, is hunting down his 315th career win. The Crimson Tide escapes with a 28-17 triumph over Auburn, and Bear Bryant is the winningest coach in college football history. At Brigham Young, Jim McMahon becomes the passingest quarterback ever, setting 60 NCAA records, including most yards and touchdown passes. Stanford's another quarterback haven, but halfback Darren Nelson steals the spotlight. The shifty 5'8" Nelson gains almost 7,000 yards as a runner, returner, and receiver, and he breaks Tony Dorsett's NCAA record for all-purpose yardage. The top dog in the Deep South is a 19-year-old tailback named Herschel Walker, who becomes something of a mythical figure in Athens, Georgia. Walker's rise to power has made this a glorious era for Georgia football, and Bulldog fans have to keep reminding themselves that their gifted prodigy is only halfway through his college career. Walker is the nation's second leading rusher in '81, and he keeps Georgia in contention for a second straight national title. The tradition of excellence is continued at USC by senior Marcus Allen, the Trojans' workhorse tailback who emerges as college football's premier performer. The 6'2", 200-pound Allen follows in the footsteps of USC greats like Mike Garrett, O.J. Simpson, Anthony Davis, Ricky Bell, and Charlie White. But Allen's achievements outstrip even their legendary feat. Averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, Allen becomes the first collegiate to rush for more than 2,000 yards in one season. Mixing speed, strength, and stamina, Allen equals or surpasses the 200-yard mark a record 11 times, including 5 straight. Through a season of upsets, Marcus Allen stays at the top of the heap.
On December 5th, Marcus Allen accepted the Heisman Trophy Award without undue humility, saying simply, I would have voted for myself. Well, Marcus, you're my November Performer of the Month, not only for your elusiveness on the field, but for your candor off it. Allen would also be pleased to know that the old Heisman hex seems to have lost its steam of late.
The National Football League's top 4 rushers through early December are all former Heisman Trophy winners, including Saints rookie sensation George Rogers, Billy Sims, Tony Dorsett, and Earl Campbell. But the elder statesman of the NFL rushers has never been one to crave awards or headlines. He just keeps picking up yardage. In his 10th pro season, a still resourceful Franco Harris remains one of the game's best, and he now seems to have a shot at Jim Brown's all-time yardage record. There's a parallel in the NBA, where the Lakers' Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is moving ever closer to Wilt Chamberlain's all-time career scoring mark. On December 1st against the Utah Jazz, Jabbar takes over the number 2 spot on the scoring parade, supplanting his former teammate Oscar Robertson.
For that milestone basket and his continued brilliance after 13 years in the NBA, Kareem, all 7'2" of him, fits into the December Performer of the Month slot. And that means it's time for me to choose a Performer of the Year. But I think I better take another quick look through the scrapbook first.
The Raiders' Jim Plunkett, Edmonton Super Center, the great Gretzky, World Cup champion Phil Mayer, the Dodgers' fabulous Fernando, Johnny Campo's Pleasant Colony, the Phillies' ageless wonder Pete Rose, tennis maverick John McEnroe, the record machine Sebastian Coe, the king of the welterweights Sugar Ray Leonard, the marathon man Alberto Salazar, the Heisman Trophy winner marvelous Marcus Allen, and basketball's best big man, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the winner of Plimpton's Performer of the Year.